Hi, everybody. Welcome to another Chats with Chaudhry. I hope you're safe and well. Today, I'm carrying on my Reflection and Forecast 22-23 series, and I'm delighted to be joined by Josh Ludwig, who is the Global Director for Commercial Operations at ScaleReady. And we're going to learn a little bit more about ScaleReady today, and also his views on the market, both from last year's perspective in terms of the challenges that the market faced, but also looking ahead to this year as well. So, Josh, first of all, good morning to you, because I know you're in Minnesota. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's cold, but yeah, here and happy to chat with you, Chaudhry. It's always good to see you.
All right, cool, Josh. Well, it's lovely to see you too. And it's a bit chilly here in the UK at the moment, but not too bad. Now, first question I'm going to ask for you, actually, it's nothing to do with last year, but it's actually say, how was Phacilitates? I know you were at Advanced Therapies Week earlier this month, or last month, I should say. So how was that?
It was fantastic. I thought it was a great bounce back year in the sense that really, really well attended. A lot of fantastic talks. And then of course, they do a great job of ensuring peer-to-peer interaction, a lot of collaborations that we're going to be excited about in 2023 are getting started or heated up while we were down in Miami. So great event, really well done by the organizers, and our team had a great time.
Fantastic. Glad to hear it. All right. Now, for people not familiar with ScaleReady, can you give me an overview of who you are and what you do?
Yeah, that's a big question. So let me try to get out some information here. ScaleReady is pretty simple. Our goal is making the business of cell and gene therapy practical and viable while significantly de-risking the future. What does that mean? We have a product portfolio that's really centered around the G-Rex bioreactors from Wilson Wolf, and right. it provides the chance to have the simplest, most scalable solution in the industry, and it allows our customers to save time, reduce supply chain risks, increase cash runways, and it's because of our name. I mean, that's what we try to do. It speaks to what we do. So we want to enable these cell and gene therapy providers, therapeutic developers, to have a really linear, scalable manufacturing process that actually can start from the very earliest research and keep that same platform through, have some continuity all the way up through their clinical and commercial production. So at the heart of what we do are tools that are tangible, that work very well, that are super simple, and then can scale from that early research up through commercial production.
Brilliant. Well, thanks for that overview. Now, I always say this is a really easy question, but not really. How do you describe 2022 from your perspective in one word, and why?
Well, I would say simplify for several reasons. But, from the ScaleReady perspective, again, our goal is to make the most efficient use of our products in clients' processes. We want their manufacturing programs to have the best chance to succeed and treat more patients, of course, and succeed in the long term, and ultimately getting to the market fast with a consistent process that scales and can meet that demand. That's the key to their success. That's the key to treating more patients. And we know that every day counts. So in this, ever-changing industry, all this technology is constantly changing. We're trying to simplify, streamline, and help our clients scale. So that's why I would put simplify in 2022. And kind of jumping off from that, it's the industry's been pretty laser focused on, automating end to end. And certainly we want to automate as much as possible. But for us, we want to say, can we simplify first? Can we strip away complexities and then automate what's left? Because that's actually how you're going to get an efficient process that's got economies of scale. And so again, we're really laser focused on simplifying processes and then automating. And I think that's where, as the field hit some challenges in 2022, as far as funding is concerned, and people are getting a little more cognizant of spend and resources, I think we have the right technologies, the right attitude, and how we want to work and help people at the right time.
Right. Okay. Well, let's talk about ScaleReady's achievements then in 2022. I know you had a very busy year last year, and you were at a lot of shows as well, and there's a lot of things happening. So Again, from a Scale Ready perspective, what were some of the highlights for you as a business in 2022?
I would say continuing to progress partnerships, especially in with other tool providers, whether that's kind of designing incubators that really help maximize the use of our bioreactors, launching a new instrument Q from Fresenius Kabi, from one of our 3 joint venture partners. That was a huge deal and solves a lot of challenges in the automating the fill finish realm. But ultimately, it was fun in January here. That's our 2nd anniversary, Scale Ready. So while we are, relatively new in that sense, our partner companies are proven. They've been providing tools and services and products and reagents into this industry for more than a decade now. But we remain dedicated to, improving the chances of success for our clients' cell and gene therapy programs through this technical partnership. So I think our key achievements are, a few more commercial approvals got over the finish line using our products. So a number of the FDA, European and Japan regulatory agency approvals for T-cell therapies use our products like G-Rex, like Lovo. So that, is big for a lot of us here at Scale Ready who have been, helping to foster the development of these tools even prior to Scale Ready for the last, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. So it's been a long, fun journey. And ultimately, as I look back in 2022 and similar into 2021, we can look back and say we really offer the safest and most secure products in the industry from a supply chain perspective as well. So we never had any issues with supply of G-Rex or Lovo. We were able to get product to customers and ensure that patients were getting treated. And this momentum of ours that I'm excited about with partnerships, providing products that work and seeing patients get treated, it's really fueled by this agility that's kind of a core value of Scale Ready. So when a client comes to us with a need or a problem, we treat it as our own problem, and we're going to work and get creative to solve it. Because again, at the end of the day, it supports our clients, supports the industry, the researchers, the healthcare providers, the patients, and their loved ones. And, we're going to continue to do that. I think our mission continues to drive everybody at Scale Ready each and every day. And it's a lot of fun to come to work when you're having this kind of an impact.
Cool. That's good to hear. Now, you talked about supply chains. That leads quite nicely, actually, onto what did you see from an industry perspective as some of the challenges that it faced, and what were some of the sort of developments in 22 you saw within the cell therapy arena, if you like, but also on a much larger scale across life science and biopharma in general?
Yeah, I think as an industry, it's a bit of a challenging time, especially as a therapeutic developer. I think the fact that there is no standard way to manufacture these, T cells and NK cells. There's no clear cut. Is it going to be autologous? Is it going to be allogeneic? So I think we saw a lot of companies have really large pipelines for the last few years, really broadening their chances for success. But as money gets tight, as people are kind of consolidating their efforts, I think the big challenge was how do you sustain a company if you can't continue to get to that next inflection point because you have too many programs in development, or there's how can you kind of consolidate your spend and research and focus on your main lead candidates? I think companies are figuring that out. It's obviously been some tough times recently, but at the end of the day, we continue to see approvals happen. I know that energizes the field, it energizes us. And as a result of these economic challenges, I think organizations have been forced to find ways to achieve more with less, to be more successful. The field's experiencing kind of never before seen rate of change, and there's increases in companies, trying to solve these challenges. We know that manufacturing processes that prioritize that speed, that can keep costs down, that can scale linearly, and you can effectively develop a process relatively quickly and inexpensively on the research end, that's how people are going to get ahead or get a competitive advantage. And I think that's what's been fun for me in 2022, looking back, is we helped people, weather that storm and move their companies forward, even in this challenging environment.
Right. And what about looking at the industry and seeing how it could have improved? I mean, are there any areas you think that the industry could have done better in 2022?
Yeah, back to my word of the day, right? Simplify. I think if folks really focus on simplifying complexity and then automating, what they have left, that helps the industry standardize towards workflows that can kind of interchange between, various types of T cells or NK cells, that can have tools that work again at research, at clinical scale, at commercial scale, for autologous and allogeneic. And I think, again, as an industry where it's not clear which modality is going to be the right one that fits for most applications, you really want to give yourself the best shot to explore it all. And so we think having a platform set of tools and an approach that is simple, is modular, is scalable, works kind of across all modalities, that's going to give people the best chance to succeed. So I think as far as what could the industry improve, it's an industry full of very bright people, very bright engineers, constantly pushing the envelope. But at the end of the day, these therapies are having remarkable results, and we just need to get more therapies to more patients. And that is all about streamlining efficiencies, taking a true, manufacturing approach where you're trying to, set up very simple processes that scale. So I think, right. As I think about, continuing to improve that, what can ScaleReady do? Well, continue to put our tools together, make them communicate with one another, partner with other tool providers that can help with, software, further automation, continuing to close every last step within the process. And that's kind of our focus as we head into 2023 is, what else is out there? What else can we incorporate into these, current kind of bedrock tools that we have and we're supporting today?
Right. Okay. So let's look at 2023. Let me you brought that up. Looking ahead for the rest of this year, because we're already into February now. What do you see as some of the big trends across the sector? I mean, you talked about obviously money becoming a bit tighter already. You just mentioned that in terms of within the biotech sector, and we've already heard about that. And also, only yesterday I shared a story about some of big pharma cutting some of their pipelines. You just brought that up in terms of it, and it does seem like there's a bit of a Betamax versus VHS situation going on here in some of the modalities in deciding which way things are going to end up. But so what do you see are some of the big things out there that people should be looking out for within the sector next year?
Yeah, I would say data collaboration. I think you're going to see more groups, more partnerships amongst therapeutic developers, more partnerships amongst tool providers. Maybe this understanding that, especially in a field where nothing is standardized to the point that would make it easy to do it on your own, I think more and more groups are going to realize, hey, we gotta kind of open ourselves up, even if it's hard, and we need to share best practices across the industry, share best practices as tool providers and manufacturers. So I think fostering those conversations and relationships is key. I think the FDA's receptiveness to new technology, to new products is going to continue to be key. Can they manage this? Even if things have slowed down a little bit, there's still this cell therapy, cell and gene therapy wave of applications that people are trying to get through there. So can they handle that? And what does the field look like after a lot of these mergers and acquisitions and partnerships and kind of changes in the way people are working? It'll be interesting to see.
Well, there's two things I was going to ask you though, actually, was when I've done these interviews with other people within different segments. You've already mentioned some of the things like obviously supply chain and how you have managed to make sure that hasn't impacted you, and also obviously cooperation. But a couple of other areas which have come up quite regularly are sustainability and God, it's gone out of my head now. There was one other, but I can't remember. But sustainability, certainly. Oh, artificial intelligence was the other one, actually. So how do you think those two areas will impact cell therapy, or have impacted cell therapy and ATMPs? Because certainly when I talk to other people in other segments, they go, you know, sustainability is now top of our agenda. It wasn't there before, but it is now. And the use of AI is obviously becoming more and more prevalent, and it's becoming more impactful in their particular areas. So how do you think those two are going to impact in terms of ATMP development, also particularly cell therapy?
Yeah, again, I think you're spot on as far as sustainability, and as far as what we're seeing in trends. Again, it's back to the basics. How can you sustain the company for the long run? How can you create sustainable processes, for manufacturing these cells, but also as a company, how do you create a sustainable culture and not, get too big too fast or spread yourself too thin on a research perspective? So again, I'm going to go back to it. Simplicity, and then automation, working to eliminate the complexities within manufacturing, and honestly, even as smaller to mid-sized biotechs, even within the organization, how do you eliminate some of the organizational complexity and get back to what you truly need to focus on, which is develop your target, develop your novel target of cancer or other disease, and then really focus on how do I make that product as consistent as possible, and in a way that all of my data from research and process development, as I move through clinical trials, I can actually work with the FDA and point back and say, look, I used the same sets of tools, I was developing the same cell profiles, those were the same cells back a few years ago, and it's actually going to help you gain approval faster. And in addition to that supply chain sustainability, I think the field now is realizing they want to keep an eye on all of the cool new technology, the promising stuff, but they need to, kind of hang their hat on technology that's been proven, that's reliable, that is going to be there when they need it as patient recruitment, picks up in certain instances. That's not always easy to predict. They need to be able to know they can call up a provider, a tool and technology company like ScaleReady, like our partners at Biotechne and Fresenius Kabi and Wilson Wolf, and know that they can get the products they need quickly, and that there's not going to be any delays. Because honestly, a delay getting tools and being able to manufacture for a patient certainly puts that patient's life at risk. And for a company, it puts them at risk. If they can't treat a patient, that's a negative mark on a clinical trial, which could be the difference between moving on to the next phase and kind of petering out.
Right. And what about AI though? And what other sort of trends do you think you'll see in the sort of cell therapy space?
Yeah, AI is interesting. I think that machine learning aspect of how can you make sense of all the data people are generating, right? We need to constantly be looking at how do your cells differ from my cells, differ from all these different donors and potential patients, and then how are all these novel targets for CAR constructs or T-cell receptors, how do you pick and choose the right one? I think the field needs to continue to have help making sense of all this data that's being generated. And I do feel strongly that, artificial intelligence, deep genome sequencing, I think that's going to help these companies pick and choose the right target to go after. Because honestly, it's one of thousands of targets, and how do you pick the right one? And once you do that, you need to have confidence, because you really need to put, all your oars in the same direction. As we were talking about, people are squeezing down the pipeline in R&D and focusing on the few candidates that they feel have the most chance to succeed. I think artificial intelligence can help in that regard, choosing the right targets.
Right. Okay. Now, looking specifically at Scale Ready for 2023, I mean, obviously we're into February now, and we mentioned you're already at Advanced Therapy Week earlier this year. What can we expect from you as a business? As much as you can share, as I appreciate there'll be stuff in the pipeline which is all very confidential, but what can viewers expect to see from Scale Ready in 2023?
We'll stay busy, so I'm sure we'll run into each other quite a bit. You know, the team has a few conferences coming up in February, March. I will be at meeting on the Med with some of our other Scale Ready leadership in April. So excited to be back in Barcelona. You know, in the next few years, Scale Ready is going to continue to grow our team of industry experts. You know, the skills needed to succeed for companies, for us, for our partners, you know, they're hard to come by. So we want to continue to build in the right way, hire people based upon, you know, core values and fit. Do they understand how we want to work, which is, you know, put ourselves on the team of our clients, make them successful. And only when we can, you know, prove success of our tools and their processes do we kind of reap the benefits. So for us, we continue to, you know, put ourselves out there, prove it to, you know, clients who are new to our technology, and then we help them sustain that success long term. We have staff covering North America and Europe heavily. Those are the markets we aim to serve, but we're always looking to branch out. And our partner companies like Fresenius Kabi and Biotechne have, you know, big footprints in the Asia Pacific region. So look for us to continue to expand our reach and the Scale Ready brand beyond our initial markets. And finally, another one that, you know, one of the pieces of technology I'll reference that we're working on is, you know, we continue to explore automated batch record systems. We want our clients to work, you know, smarter, not harder, maintain consistency and reproducibility. So at the end of the day, that and focusing on developing kind of fluid handling platforms centered around G-Rex that can tie in our instrumentation that's modular. So we get, you know, high throughput use of the instruments, get them into the static G-Rex bioreactors. How do we do that in a more automated, controlled manner that can then link up to batch records? That's what we're working on now. And I'm excited to, you know, start, you know, launching some of that, talking more about that later this year.
Cool. And you talked about partnerships quite a lot through this conversations and working with different partners. So do you see that as an area that you're going to expand on a lot in 2023 as well, in terms of looking for more partners, maybe up or downstream, depending on where they are in the process and the workflow, to sort of partner with, to sort of get your solutions fitted in with theirs and so on? Is it going to be more of that people can expect as well?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. You know, Scale Ready is a joint venture, so it's built on partnerships, and we feel strongly that this industry is built and will succeed on partnerships. So for us, we continue to, you know, say, look, the core technologies that Scale Ready has today, we're going to continue to evolve that. That's going to be a combination of internally developing next generation products, externally partnering with groups, and, you know, potentially bringing in and acquiring new technology under the Scale Ready brand. But at the end of the day, partnerships with other tool providers, especially people pushing the envelope, that's key. So expect to see, you know, more of that, you know, more of those white papers where new technologies are kind of fitting into the Scale Ready workflow. Additionally, I think partnerships with, you know, our existing, you know, large base of clients, helping them to promote the scalable processes they've developed, which then gives the rest of the field kind of a reference to say, oh, that's how you can do it, right? I think kind of unmasking the fact that there are people developing simple, scalable solutions, and it's giving them the ability to do more with less. And I would like us to continue to partner with our clients that we've had for years and years to help promote what they've been able to do, you know, using our products, so we can kind of build that, you know, we're building a path that others can follow. And I think it'll help people, you know, move with speed, get there to their next critical inflection point without, concerns about, falling off the map because they don't have the resources anymore. So I think that's, for us, partnering with clients, partnering with new tool providers, and then working internally with our core 3 partner joint venture to develop the technologies further. Brilliant.
And finally, any last thoughts for the viewers for 2023 you'd like to leave them?
Just keep going. It's the data is there, the results are so strong, the impact that these developers are having on patients' lives is visible. It's becoming more mainstream. We see some of the early T-cell drugs that have been approved now having success as they move further up into frontline treatments. So keep going. Let's keep collaborating. Let's try to make sure the field remains as open as possible within reason, because the more we can share successes, share what's working, and also share what's not working, it's going to allow people to avoid, making the same mistake, so to speak, or at least avoid, spending money where we already know that doesn't work, or we already know that this does work because we're over the FDA approval hurdle. So let's start talking more about how did we make that happen, and how can we help others make that happen in a more efficient manner.
Fantastic, Josh. Well, thank you for that, and thank you for taking the time to talk to me. So there you go, viewers. If you've got any questions related to what Josh has to say today, then feel free to put them in the comments below. You can also meet the team from ScaleReady at many, many events throughout the year, both in Europe and North America. I mean, just to give you an example, they will be at the Hanson Wade CAR TCR Summit, which is this month in February, where I will be as well. And as Josh mentioned, he will be at the Cell and Gene meeting on the Mesa in Barcelona in April. But I also know ScaleReady are at many, many other events throughout the year. So make sure you check them out at those particular events. But you can also get in touch with the team, both on their LinkedIn page and individually, and through their website. And the link for the website will be above the video as well. So Josh, it's good to speak to you, my friend. I look forward to hopefully catching up with you in person in the not too distant future. I hope the Twins have a really good season. And obviously the North, who is it? It's the Wolves, isn't it? The Minnesota Timberwolves, isn't it? Who are the hockey team. So I hope they do well as well. I don't know how they're doing actually. So
yeah, that's the basketball team. They're doing okay.
Oh, yeah, the basketball team. So is it North Stars or is that Dallas? I can't keep track with the North Stars. They move around so much. Are they back in Minnesota?
Went down to Dallas. Now it's the Minnesota Wild. So yeah, there's we're kind of middling sports here in Minnesota, but it's entertaining. So I'm a long-suffering Wolves fan. We'll see if they can pull it together.
You never know. All right, well, look, it's lovely to see you, and I look forward to catching up in person. So have a wonderful rest of 2023, and viewers, thank you for watching. Hope you found that interesting. Until next time, as always, stay well and stay safe. Bye-bye.